Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back if this is your first time joining me. Welcome. My name is Hetty and I'm a life and mindset coach. I post videos every week all about health, mindset, lifestyle, achieving your goals and spirituality. So in today's video I'm going to be talking all about losing your identity, or the feeling of losing your identity either from recovering from an eating disorder or disordered eating. So if you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comment section any other types of videos you would be interested in me filming. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Obviously from the title of this video, I'm somebody personally who has fully recovered from both an eating disorder and disordered eating. So the two are very, very different, and I have made a complete separate video on that, so I will link that down in the description box below, and also I will link the video where I share my personal story with different eating disorders, binge eating as well as anorexia. But in short, disordered eating can just be very meticulous and trying to control every single thing that you eat without being sort of categorized as having a full-blown eating disorder. So the two are similar, but they also have very, very large differences on a completely different scale. But either way, if you are somebody that relates to either having an eating disorder or a disordered eating habit or behavior, if you are someone, even from being from somebody who's come from a very thin body, or you've lost a lot of weight when you were disordered or controlling your food quite a lot, and then you've recovered into a bigger body and you've gained weight, it can be a very, very confusing, very kind of depressing time sometimes. And I want to be as honest and about my own kind of struggle and my own opinion on this as well, and I have done a video on weight gain, so if you are kind of going through that as well, I will link my video down below. And it was very raw for me, it was something that I was personally going through at the time, so I wanted to kind of share that transition period of when you are recovering, or maybe you're just starting out in recovering, you're kind of questioning, well, who am I going to be without of this eating disorder? Who am I going to be without having that thin body? If you're known for having that fit, athletic figure, and it's scary to let go of that. So I wanted to talk about that in this video. When you are recovering from an eating disorder or disordered eating, we attach our identity almost subconsciously sometimes with this control and this manipulation, with having a certain physique, having a certain type of body, usually, and I'm sort of generalizing eating disorders. Obviously there's so many out there, and also so many different types of disordered eating behaviors and habits as well, but I'm sort of generalizing the majority of wanting to be a thinner or a more fit, athletic type of body. So if you are somebody that resonates with that, obviously that's the kind of behaviors that I'm going to be referring to. But when we're recovering, obviously we're actively trying to let go of all of that control, actively trying to work against all of those food rules that we've once had. Maybe it might have been, counting your calories, or exercising obsessively, or eating clean, all of those types of things. Maybe you've not allowed yourself to eat certain types of foods for a very long time, whatever it might be. When we're recovering, obviously we're going completely against that, and we're letting go of the rules, we're letting go of the restriction, and naturally our body is going to change as a response to that. So that can be where the difficulty comes, and losing that sense of identity. So like I said, we sort of form an attachment to our particular type of body, or how people perceive us. So maybe from the outside looking in, somebody may assume that we're quite healthy. We might go to the gym, we might work out regularly, we might eat really healthy, and all of these kind of things. We might be known as maybe the fit person, or, you know, the thin person. Maybe people, you know, comment a lot on our bodies and say, oh, you look amazing, you always look so incredible, and that sort of thing. And that can be really, really difficult when we're letting go, when we're consciously actively letting go of that. And I know firsthand I really struggled with this too, because I was sort of known as the fit one, or when I lost a lot of weight, some people criticised me, but also there was a lot of people that were sort of, you know, admiring how much weight I'd lost. And even some of the negative attention, honestly, when I was really, really struggling, I still wanted that kind of attention. It was almost like any kind of attention was good. If they were telling me that I looked too thin, that was almost good too, you know? So when we're kind of transitioning out of that, that can be really, really challenging. So I wanted to kind of just first give anyone who is sort of currently going through that hope and faith, that because when I was going through this, I personally thought, I'm not going to have an identity underneath this facade of being the thin or the fit person. I've got nothing to give. I'm kind of worthless or not good enough on my own. And this is honestly the foundation of a lot of the work that I do with my own clients, and where this all kind of comes down to. And I know personally for me, this is what all of this came down to. I was actively trying to lose weight or look a certain way to feel good enough, to feel noticed, to feel loved, all of those kind of things. So they're the sort of underlying beliefs that were going on. And then obviously I was choosing to try and lose weight as a way to achieve that kind of feeling. So it's not actually the weight as much as we think it is. Society will subconsciously tell us that we're not good enough unless we look a certain way, or unless we, you know, have a particular type of body. These are all subliminal, subconscious messages that we're constantly getting fed. So one of my biggest recommendations for anyone who is struggling with that whole identity, split identity thing of moving away from the disordered eating into this recovered body, and how to kind of transition that and let go of that old ego of being the fit person or the thin person. One of my favourite things to do with my own clients, and this is something that I personally did as well, is write down, and I always recommend journaling because it's one of my favourite ways, but either hiring a coach or talking about it to yourself or with a friend, and asking yourself, if no one cared about my body and no one cared about how we looked to each other, what would I be doing with my life? And that really kind of opens up this kind of world almost of what life can look like if we're not constantly obsessed with our bodies. So what would you be doing? Another thing to ask yourself is, what kind of things were you interested in as a young child? So personally for me, I used to love gymnastics, climbing trees, like I was such a tomboy, and those kind of things. So I know I sort of gravitated more so towards being active, being fit, and that sort of thing. So I know that I started to write down different activities that I enjoyed doing, or that I wanted to do or try, that's always kind of sparked my interest, but I've never allowed myself to kind of try those things because I've been too focused on this eating disorder. The truth of the matter is, once you finally let go of the eating disorder, your life really does just open up so many new possibilities, because you've got all of this free time and all of this free energy that I always kind of talk about, because you're not just focused on how to lose weight and what to eat and all of those kind of things. So I'd really recommend, you know, maybe even looking back at old kid photos. What kind of things were you interested in before you were so focused on losing weight and how to look a certain way? What were the kind of things that you were genuinely interested in? Maybe, it was studying a particular subject. Maybe it was trying to get a certain type of job or a certain hobby that you was always interested in. And write down as many of those things as you can, and really just start to dip your toe into those different kinds of areas. If it was photography, could you, try and take photos? Could you do a photography course? Is it learning a new language? Is it traveling? I know currently in the situation that we're in, but maybe you could start planning different trips, either in your own country or to wherever type of country that you can actually travel. Start making a list of all of those kind of activities that you would like to try and that you've never fully allowed yourself to do so with this eating disorder, what this eating disorder has held you back from. And that leads me into my second journal prompt. Ask yourself, what has my eating disorder or disordered eating held me back from? What has it stopped me from doing? And this really is a powerful question, because this really opens up what the eating disorder has stopped you from doing, obviously, but in what ways, in what areas has it prevented you from, starting a family? Has it prevented you from certain relationships, certain friendships, school, jobs, careers, hobbies, all of these different kinds of things? And journal upon that. Ask yourself, why specifically has it held you back? Has the eating disorder told you that you're not good enough to do that, or that you're too fat, or you're too thin? All of these kind of things. Or has it literally just been taking so much of your mental time that you physically didn't have the time or energy to do so? And the thing is, I don't want this to sort of be just replacing one hobby or one certain interest with attaching to a different kind of hobby or an interest, because I know obviously the eating disorder isn't a hobby, but it's attaching one thing to another. So maybe you go from your eating disorder to then being full on in your career, or being a photographer, or surfing or skateboarding, whatever it is. I don't want that to just be, going from one thing to another and attaching your whole identity on that. But it's really about letting go of that old identity and allowing yourself to become this new version of you. What does this new version of you look like? Journal on that and ask yourself honestly, what is my ideal self doing? What does she do on a day-to-day basis? What does she enjoy doing? What are her core values? What does she love? What does she hate? What does she stand for? And all of these kind of questions will start to create a picture of this ideal version of you. So for me, I wanted to be somebody that showed up more for my friends, because when I was in my eating disorder, I never fully showed up for them properly. I wanted to create my own business. I wanted to be more academic. I wanted to learn new things. I wanted to enjoy exercise and do it from a place of enjoyment and wanting to get fitter and stronger, rather than trying to lose weight all of the time. So I tried to really create this picture, and I started to pick at those different things and start to take action on those things. And that's when you start to form a completely new identity. And it's honestly so much fun when you start creating your new future self. And I think it's such an empowering thing as well, when you finally let go of the old identity, the old eating disorder. And obviously it is a process. It's gonna take time. It's not just an overnight thing. What you will start to see is that when you finally do start to let go of that old identity, you start to become this new version of yourself that's a lot more conscious in your relationships. You start to show up differently for things like your partner, your friends, all of those kind of things. And all of those types of things shape your identity. You could be a good friend, an amazing mother, a caring parent, a loving partner, all of those different kinds of things. And all of these elements all start to create our identity. And it's not just about how we look, it's about how we behave, it's about how we work, our work ethic, how we show up in our relationships, our caring abilities, our loving abilities, how we look after people, how we look after ourselves, our core values. And then I want to touch on the underlining reason that we try and seek approval from the way we look and our body types and all of those kind of things. So the underlying belief most of the time when it comes with eating disorders and losing weight, wanting to lose weight, is that we don't feel good enough or we don't feel loved. We're doing it from a place of we want to feel loved. And by losing weight, we get more attention off people. Therefore, we feel more loved or more cared for, more seen most of the time. Other than that, we don't feel good enough without that. Even though that those comments, that attention is only a short gratification in the moment, and it's not long lasting. So the real work is about boosting our own confidence and working on our own self-worth without the external, without how we look, what we weigh on the scale. And this is the true work that needs to be done. And so some little questions to kind of ask yourself are, if no one cared about how I looked and nobody cared about how much I weighed or how big or small my body was, what do I love about myself just as me? And really list all of the things that you admire, love, or like about yourself. And if those feel too difficult, just start with, what do you accept about yourself at this moment in time that has nothing to do with how you look? So it could be your kindness, how you treat your friends, your imagination, your creativity, your logic, your intelligence, your ideas, your work ethic, all of these different kinds of things, and really kind of elaborate on all of those things. What things have you achieved in your life that you're really, really proud of, that you, maybe a certain transition in your life that you never felt that you could get out of, but maybe with the courage and resilience that you have, you've been able to do that. So that's a really cool exercise to do. But also one that I truly, truly love is to think of yourself as your younger self or a friend. So think of yourself as somebody else. What would you say if you were a friend speaking to you and asking you, what's so good about me? What do you love about me? What do you accept about me? What kind of things do you appreciate about me? And think of yourself as a third person, because I think, again, a shift in perspective can be super, super powerful, because generally when it's just us, we don't tend to see it and we don't tend to value ourselves, in all honesty. And this is something that I've been working on quite a lot on myself, to think of myself as a third person, because I truly, truly, with all of my friends, see beauty in so many different areas with them. And most of the time it's not got anything to do with their looks, even though I all think that they're amazing and beautiful. But there's so many different elements to their personality, and their personality, because I'm so attracted to their personalities and little quirks in their personality, it really does make them beautiful to me, and that I can just see their overall beauty. So I think by looking at yourself as a third person and thinking yourself as a friend, and start to shift your perspective. So rather than thinking of me, think of yourself as a third person and think, what would I tell this person if they were asking me or sharing with me all of these insecurities? And just write or think about all of those things. How would you treat that person? What would you tell that person? This is all about building up your own self-worth, your own self-confidence within yourself, that has nothing to do with your weight or how you look. So I wanted to kind of share my own personal experience, because I think it's really good to kind of learn from different people. So for me personally, I had this identity of being the fit person. I was a personal trainer as well, so it was almost like I was losing two different identities in one. I was really, really fit at the time and strong, and I was very, very rigid with my food. And then all of a sudden I obviously turned to recovery and came away from the personal training world and the fitness industry, and that hit hard. It honestly did. It felt like I didn't know who I was. I felt like I had no purpose or reason to be here, really, and I felt like I wasn't good enough as me on my own. And I realized by shifting away from that for so long I used not just my body and how I looked as a way to make me feel good about myself, but also I use my career as that as well, as a way to kind of give myself a sense of self-worth, that, oh, well, if I'm a personal trainer, this gives me the identity of being, you know, somebody who's really fit, somebody who's really strong, and that sort of thing. And sorry if you can hear my dog. That was really, really difficult as well. So again, it took a lot of time being on my own and kind of sitting with my thoughts about, you know, what kind of person do I want to be, and understanding the life that I used to live, being, you know, either a personal trainer or somebody very restrictive with my food. What did that look like for my life? What kind of areas of my life did I allow to slip away? What areas of my life do I want to show up for more so now? And again, going back to painting that picture of my ideal self, going back to that and asking myself, who do I want to be? The ultimate thing here is that we can create ourselves to be whoever we want to be, and we can choose the behaviors, the patterns, the thought behaviors, what serves us honestly and what doesn't serve us. So I started to seek out and look at different people, not necessarily who I wanted to be like, but people that kind of symbolize different core values that I valued, you know, and those people that I did admire or that I did like. I asked myself, what is it about that person that I like? Maybe it was their authenticity, and that was a big thing for me, that people who ate intuitively, I felt that they had a natural, healthy relationship with food, and that was a big thing for me that I wanted to have. So I looked and seeked out people that resembled that to me, and kind of looked at their lives, looked at how they live their lives, and mirror some of those things, and ask myself, you know, what kind of things would they have to believe in order to show up as that person? And there's some really important questions to ask yourself. You know, those people that you do want to be like, that you admire, what is it about them that you truly admire? And get specific. Is it their lifestyle? Is it their beliefs? Is it their confidence? Is it the way they behave around food, their relationships, all of those kind of things? And start to look at how they live their life. What must they believe about themselves in order to show up in that way? And what beliefs maybe do you need to start looking at or change in order to show up differently? What beliefs do you currently have that are stopping you from showing up as that person? And by looking at those, that's when we can start to get really specific and create awareness around those beliefs, and start working on that and creating this new person, this new identity that doesn't have the identity of a destructive eating disorder or disordered eating behaviors, but a healthy, balanced relationship with food, and one that has so many different things going for her: confidence, self-love, hobbies, interests, success, all of these different kinds of things. Just get really, really specific on the type of person that you want to be, that you truly admire, and the lifestyle that you want to live, and what is going to match up to that. So I really hope you found this video helpful, guys, and if you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more. Hit the bell notification as well if you would like to be notified whenever I upload next. You can follow me on Instagram. I will link my handle down in the description box below. Also, let me know on any future types of videos that you would like me to film, and I will see you in the next video, guys. Bye!